I seek refuge in God, the sublime, the all-knowing, from the accursed Satan. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, and in him we seek help, and may blessings and peace be upon Muhammad and his good and pure family. God, may God's prayers and peace be upon him, new, hastened, and hastened. The talk in my answer was about the third question, which is whether a thing can exist without a cause or not, and it is possible for it to exist by absolute coincidence. In front of me, relative coincidence. What is absolute coincidence? My condolences. We referred to it, but as a matter of recollection, in the Logical Foundations of Induction, page 57, he said, and coincidence is two names, absolute and relative. Absolute, what is it? Is that the two things exist. Of course it does not exist. Otherwise, if it exists and is not preceded by meaninglessness, it needs someone to create it, and this is what it is. What we have expressed as non-independent existence, or conditional existence, or needy existence, is what draws upon it the vulgarity of possible existence. What do they know? This is the account. So, the reason for any existence, for non-independent existence, for the conditional existence of existence, what is it? What? He is in need of existence, relying on others. He cannot. I am independent of himself in order to exist. No, I began to be a null sign of existence. I deserve, or singular, my brother, for existence. Poor. If I see that myself is rich, what does he need to be given? Otherwise, he is in himself what is poor and ugliness. My pride is small. He said, so I received it. He found it. It is that something exists in poverty without the cause. I release it like the boiling of this generality once we find it. What did we start to say, why? We say there is no reason for this question, but why do we say there is no reason of its own? What? The exorbitation occurred. Is this reasonable or not? If the person says, it is reasonable, we do not yet authorize us to talk to him about the reasons behind the pillars of God, because we want, through the evidence, based on the law of causality, to say, he needs to do what, to my reason. He taught him because we may not know the captivity, but he has what before because now people hear the knock on the door. Less than the one who knocks on the door says to him, find someone, but my desire is to check myself. This is not incapable, but I do not know who knocked on the door, so I do not know the reason, but I know that there are two reasons. This is the difference between hibernation and between hibernation, between reality and my knowledge of reality. He has two branches, and he is the one with the most basic natures when he comes to explain the law of causation. This is what Asa Tafdil Jida says. This is his phrase, he says the law. The Most High, what is the general law of the Most High, that the cause is one of the causes, if it is fulfilled with what is necessary. And it is surrounded by the purchase of an excuse without what we codify, the necessity of the existence of what is the cause of its prevention. There is a clash between the subtlety of the word, the cause, the elegance of the cause, the rise of impediments, and the multiplication of what is the cause. It is clear, so if we look and put our hand on what and it does not exist, we find it and find it, we say what is its cause, so we say its cause is familiar, will it be together, teach us the reason or what? We are ignorant of it, it does not seem that it has a cause, but whether we know it or we do not know it, we do not know. This is causality. The reasoning is good. Now yesterday, we pointed to forms. They said that the theory of quantum mechanics or the theory of quantity has established the law of duration. What is the meaning? It has established the law of causality. This means that two things can exist without causality, without a human being. Our most honorable relative said that causality is not an empirical question until it is eliminated by experience or denied by experience, and this is what we have related to the dear ones from the book, What is Explained, in Libe Frank, between the philosophical physicist, Maulana's page, level 20 Al-Taftida, said that the law of causality, which is the basis of all science, cannot be proven or observed experimentally, so the first problem is the first to be noticed, the first to be criticized, and the first to criticize. This claim, which was stated by the one who came in the book, Penetrating the Mind of Ahmed Ibrahim, there on page 7 and 6. My dear ones, what did he say about your quantum locations? What is the cause of the quiver? The first is that causality is a rational concept, and it is not possible for an experiment to reveal it or what, and we do not understand this. This is the first observation. The second observation. We agreed with you that through experimentation, causality can be proven and refuted by what is done by experiment, and science is natural. This is the claim. We want to acknowledge, where were we in the forms? First we said complete or non-general from here. Consolation in two theories. What do we need? First, we need to know the history of this theory. I will point to it as sources, and kafta, and consolation. Come with us. To the International Arab Encyclopedia, Volume 420, pages 500, 6, and 40. The historical excerpt said that your place is quantitative. In 1900, the German physicist Max-Lib Link proposed the idea of quanta to explain the spectrum of light emanating from parts of certain hot bodies. In 1005 years, the German physicist Ullstein expanded the scope of the black sphere, and so on. Then after them came my consolation and the suggestion of Bohr, the Danish physicist, the theoretical structure of the atom for the atom in the year 1980 and Taltash after Maulana Samatar, the French physicist Berly, the idea of duration waves, etc., etc., and since then, such and such has been unified, etc. This is the summary of the paradise of theoretical history. The importance of theory. I read from specialists. Isaiah, and no, this is not a specialty. He repeatedly mentioned and returned to those who relied on them. Come with us to the step of Hakien Kamulin, the great design in the class, 85. Isaiah says, in the first 2,000 years or so of scientific thinking, the bad limit and ordinary experiments were the basis of interpretation. Looking means the essences of the universe, the laws of physics, and other things. What was Isaiah the Hadith, and after what were the experiments of Adiya and Motasan of the Tekleologia and the 90s? The extent of the phenomena that we can observe. We began to find that nature behaves in less ways. And say, in line with our daily experiences and intuition, we have found that our experiments, which we have seen with the ordinary eye, and only one of us, have mathematical, physical, and natural rules that have other illusions than the ones that we know, and the logical ones that we know on the surface. We have experiments like this, so that experience represents, in a typical way, a kind of natural phenomenon that the traditionalist, such as Newton, cannot explain. I mean, if we were him and Newton's physical rules, you can, in secret, God, Rolla, you can. You cannot, but it can be described by what is called quantum mechanics. No, we found. Yes, from the theory of your perfect place, you created. What do you explain this gap? In reality, it was written, no, it has evolved. He said that your perfect place has its beginning, so every detail is not organized. However, the principles of your perfect place have developed in the first part of the century to our innovation from the 19,000th century and after that, and for some years, a theory that suffices to describe nature at the level of an atom and what is under an atom. The basic theories of physics describe the force of nature and how objects deal with the force of nature, and classical theories such as Newton's theory of Cyprus, analogy, and the theory of reflection. What do they reflect in the experiences of daily life? Why was technology not developed, so it separated God of nature from the common rules where material things have an individual existence and exist in specific places? This exists here after it exists in another place, and there is no possibility or impossibility of sense for a year in our experiences. If a thing is here, it can be in another place, huh? Well, wouldn't it be possible? Okay, but now some physical theories say it is possible in this now in my soul that this now is frozen in a place in an interior that makes sense of this. This one says that it appears natural and fattening and has a great effect. God's eye is the latent theories. Just give you an example. Imagine that we are sitting in Tehran. And you want to beg information about what to those sitting 10 away. 1,000 kilometers in the United States, or at least 2,000 kilometers. RAFO 5 of those in the country and the world. There is no connection to information. This communication to information by any means, either wired communication or wireless communication. Neither wireless nor wireless. It is correct now. The existing eavesdropping from the satellites, whether wired or wireless, is not possible. Make Maulana's story say that the need now is that she is here at the same time that she will be here without a jinn. Is it like that? These are all the results of modern theories of physics, and for this expression he says in Newton's laws they were, according to my framework, the experiences of life, where material things have an individual existence and exist in our specific places and follow certain paths. This is according to the greatest theories of Newtonian wonders. My place for all of you gives us a framework for understanding how nature works at home and under the button, but as a summary of the details, it dictates to us a set of different concepts that are clearer than the concepts. What will not be developed in the place of the thing? And his path, and even his past and future, are not precisely defined. Now the sentence is devoid of meanings. What is the most important fundamental point in the dream of Al Kamil's theories? Dear friends, the theory of philosophical causality is based on two pillars that are well conceived as a consolation, and that this is a pile of consolation in the previous research. It is that the research has begun, so much it needs precision, understanding, contemplation, and contemplation of consolation for those who follow the theory of philosophical causality. It is based on two pillars. The first pillar is that if a pet is found, he needs what? What is there except a reason? If there is a pet, it needs a subsequent reason, or if it is found in a cellar, it needs a reason and a subsequent pet, because this is the law of two causes. This is the law of Philosab. The point of the second is that if there is a pet, it opens from, and with my certainty, it finds what? So if they say the causality of the bankruptcy is in 1 rakan or 2 rakan, what is it? A phenomenon requires two causes, and if you find the cause, you are certain of the existence of the paradise of the cause. If you, that is, a prophet, were able to find the cause, then you are certain that there is what is the cause, and this is called certainty of what? We confuse it with cause or inevitability. What is that? That brought the idea to glory. And if we do not have any possible concepts for you to confuse them, what is what? Causality and paradise, or certainty or inevitability and certainty, are the causal if one of the characteristics of the causal that the Alphalatha says is one of its characteristics of its supplies. A closer creation question through the expression so that you know that it is basically what it is. Come with us, dear ones, to the book Penetrating Mulan's Mind on pages 4 and 8. Through examples, they are earthly. What is the difference between causation and where are you? Determinism. Inevitability is impossible. I mean, certainty that if the cause exists, it will exist once. So he begins by making things exactly the same, making things clear, showing that the effect results from the cause, regardless of whether he thought that the result requires what is inevitable or not inevitable. Is it reasonable for him to take shelter? Isn't that a certain result or not technical? What does foolishness say? Like that? The reason is absolutely on the list regardless of anything. Last. How much will you stay? After Mulan. Who's here? This research began, what is the relationship between causality and determinism? Some of them said the relationship of the necessary and the necessary. Some of them said a maternal and special relationship from the point of view, meaning heaven. This means that there is a causal and not deterministic. There is a deterministic and not a causal one. How can a moment become equal and lead? There is a causality and a determinism. The jurist has made a fist. What is the source of the difference between the deterministic and the causal? If you run into a precise computer that does not choke even 1/1000th of a second. Asasal does not exist in Yaktak. It explodes. His time is on a certain clock. He rings the bell. This unexpectedness when it chimes means that there is a minority of causality between the computer and the clock that is ticking, or there is only that this time alone, and there is an inevitability that in the clock ticking it means that there is a certain causality between the computer and the clock that is ticking, or that there is only this time. There is an inevitability that in the clock ticking, that is, from what Yahoo, who assumed there is a train that you want to travel on, and he tells you that this train is every day at 10 in the morning, just 4 hours from the rough place. There is certainty and inevitability, but there is no need for coughing to move. But there is no causality between the train and coughing 10. So there can be neither determinism nor causality. Complete or not? Question: can causation exist without determinism? The answer is theories that want to be called nonsense, that there is no correlation between the law of causality and what and the situation. What can be answered? It is ancestral, like that, and you say, accept their curse. Your nature is good. First, I blame those who either out of purpose and morbidity, or out of ignorance, said that my perfect theory destroyed it. It destroyed the law of causality if it demolished. One of the properties of the law of causality is the severity of determinism, and it did not. The paradise of the reason is not executed, and for this reason, come with us. Leave yourselves alone, come with us. This is a book between physics and philosophy. There on the page of Mewat Lathan, Chapter 9, read the Dafjija. Determinism is causal. Determinism and no determinism in modern physics. Uzan believed in causality and determinism. The two Steins also believe in relativity. I believe in causality and determinism. This is why we criticize the theories of what your perfect place does not accept. The theories of your perfect place say that causality exists, but it is non-determinism. I mean, you can know these premises. I say to him, these are the premises that produce the result first. He says that a probability of 70% produces this. A probability of 70% when it is produced at the level of 70%. This is what they said. Causation exists for it. An existent exists because it is the premises that you will find heaven. This is the result, but you do not say with certainty that you will find heaven, so if you die, the inevitable paradise is neither clear nor the theory. I am in the process of denying the paradise of the inevitable. I am in the process of denying what I am certain of. This is important in the theories of knowledge, God willing, at its time. And you have provided 1,000 pieces of evidence that God is a paradise that exists. This is the human sciences. You can say, so, tell God, this result is for certain. In physics, they usually take one of two directions. He believes that causality is inherent in determinism. Modern physics says there is causality but there is no determinism. What is the position of the three? He says there are three directions. The first direction says what we say is correct. We and your theories of physics are like a fool. And hurt the one who speaks against me. The new theory contradicts the correct philosophical system, and therefore it is clear and unambiguous. Moreover, the new theory is an excellent confirmation of the correct philosophical system, meaning paradise. I mean, if science says to it, this is why we deliberately lift our hand away from determinism, because it is the theory of violin theories. So, in the case of causation, we twist determinism, we say, we are suspected, what are its explanations? His new theoretical examples can be used to imagine modifications that are more or less limited to the philosophical system. From here, dear ones, how much do they relate to us? One of the most important characteristics of my mechanical theory is that all of you rely on it with the principle of uncertainty. Suspicion is evil. It means not to evaluate. Learn about us. Learn about us. And they count in the Arabic connector, page 526.14, and they count the principle of uncertainty as meaning uncertainty about other basic ideas in your place. How much and in accordance with them? The principle. The principle of the extent of uncertainty. The principle. The absence of protection, the absence of the inevitability of the non-zambia. If my body is placed in the place of the Kadai and his fist is good in its place, and his fist says that it is not possible to trample something accurately in a simultaneous manner. You cannot specify a location. What can't you do? To determine the trend. She wants to find out where he is and she shouts at him and he says they will not meet. This is one of the laws of the theory of Cam-Eason. If you want to locate it yet, you cannot identify this particle. The button and under the button are very fast. How much? I'll tell you, if you want to use speed, you don't know where heaven is. Ask now, put your hand on an atom or below a button, that is, you are as if it were you with your existing devices, but it is and speed. Pay attention, except that you learn this is its place, its speed is in the manner of the transfer of the ash, except the same place and the place of Aga Asn, which exists and does not exist. Perhaps you have reached knowledge that it exists, but after now the second, because it is fast. So say, a full voice, it is still in the same deception first. And for this reason it is not possible to determine the place of the thing and the place of the thing, what, and if it is possible, then it is in the manner of accuracy and certainty, and in the manner of probability. What is apparent is difficult, so if the law of causality is valid, but the law of certainty about the situation and the event exists or does not exist. What scholars say, O Lord, and this principle is correct. Why? Because atoms have the properties of a body that has the properties of a wave, which is related to speed and is not related to place. Its height is clear. Both the body and the waves have their own rulings, so it is not possible to bring them together in one simultaneous time. After the wall, thought reaches the Aziz. And this principle is because the particle has the properties of a wave. This means that every body, if you look at the whole atom, then if you look at its distance according to its physical dimension, it determines the place. If you look at its distance, the wave action determines what determines its speed. And in I am one, it is possible for both of them to say that if two objects are determined for two subjects, it is not possible. In addition to that, the method used to determine the position of the two bodies and its speed does not allow for unlimited accuracy. Therefore, you can always determine what is deterministic or non-deterministic, whether it evaluates or does not evaluate, but this does not take their mind, how much it is general. Come with us to my book, Penetrating the Mind. The problem. Where is my consolation? The problem here is that there is an electron on a lens in it. Electrons have a brief overview of the wonders of your place. How many people say this? They are in a complete experimental form. They have wave, particle, and corporeal properties at the same time. They sometimes behave like a body and sometimes like a wave, and you have not yet found devices that can determine the position and speed in it. I am one. What is clear yet in what is known as wave-particle duality? And this, in my words, may be a contradiction. Why? Because the body is determined and biased in place and the vector has a place. And it has no place for an innumerable and unbiased spread in place. Today you are iron or not, today you are its limits in your calculation, but it is an atom that sometimes appears in the form of a colossus and sometimes gold in the form of waves and energy, so it is artificially created. It is impossible, it is not possible, but this is what has been observed of the nature of these subatomic things. Even if the most accurate description that is always mentioned in the books in my more specialized manner is that they are waves, so the judiciary usually says that what they express exists, but it has the essence of this is my body as well. Usually it is an existent energy, but it is also some of the agitation that takes on the guise of my body and not then receiving particles, meaning in the existing, and they mention the causes of the sender. Those are apparent as particles of our being also until our Lord comes. Come with us. Glory be to you if your mind is empty of it. Did they ask? If these points become clear, come with us and bring it closer to Calgita. If these points become clear in 2 pages, now back to the answers to the question, did mechanic outcome destroy the reason? Because if natural and physical science is able to destroy the cause, then you can rely on it to destroy the Creator or the Most High, and you cannot use his knowledge with his muscle. And from here some have said that water is killed by the existence of what is faith in the existence of a basis that except for the theory of my enemies, and for this reason we read to you in the above whether knowledge was killed by the belief in the existence of God that does not kill. Which of them tells the truth that quantum physics destroyed determinism and did not destroy most of it? Causality. What is the subject of discussion in proving the existence of this causality, were it not for determinism? We attribute it to causality, were it not for determinism. The difference between them is what he explains for us, the world of physics, what happens when physics comes to fruition. Max Born, one of the founders of Canonic Alcamno, is named in history. In his book, So-and-so wrote a chapter at the beginning of the book with such a title in which he differentiates between our deterministic meaning, which your perfect place has demolished, and our causal meaning, which is not mentioned. Max Born's book, Explain the Matter, we are full. However, if we mention the expressions, even the isolated people who know the English language should read the English original. Those who do not know should review this white translation. To say that physics has abandoned causality is an unfounded statement. It is true that modern physics has abandoned traditional ideas and modified them. It means determinism as one of the requirements. Why is philosophical causality important to us? Because what we need is the essence of causality, and we do not need it, nor do we need it. Determinism has another account, but if physics stopped searching for the causes of visitors, it would not then become science. This means that if you say that causality is not determinism, after physics is science, and there is no determinism in science, but rather it is science that is one of its most important pillars for them with causality, then he says, come with us. Then he says, come with us, and then he says, with an omen explaining the difference between causality and determinism, so he appears with causality and makes it on the cotton of a ruler between things, showing the effect's existence in the cause regardless of the determination of time and place. Why? Regardless of the specification of time and place, because in my opinion, if quantum wants to determine the place yet, it obeys and it does not obey, but this denies causality and does not deny causation. It does not deny causality. Causation is a relation that exists in a recipient manner, regardless of the specification in the specific place or specific time. Then he comes and says, then we mentioned an example of a non-causal deterministic relation, which is a grandfather, and for the timings of trains, it is two determinants determined in time and space, but there is a certainty and there is a certainty. That determinism is not a childish hill, and that determinism is the hill that you demolished in your place, Cam, and that the Sabaya is the research. What is causality? It is the dependence of things in their existence on certain things or conditions, and this is still true in Beziel-Cam. Can we accept the acceptance of coincidence? What does absolute coincidence mean by denying causality as the highest law of the world? Physics. The answer is no and 1,000. To answer this question, this physics says that it is not correctly conceptualized causality that has fallen, but only what has fallen is what? What? B. The explanation is philosophical. What is the theory of causation? Or the law of causality? What is wrong with defining its meaning as meaning that causation is what? Determinism, despite the fact that causality is a thing, and determinism is filled with mothers and special ones who encounter causality, determinism, and causality, determinism, and causal determinism. I have endeavored to make it clear that it is between the two concepts, whether they are not mutually exclusive or not mutually exclusive. Causality in its definition. What is the hypothesis that a certain physical state depends on another, and the causal search for the discovery of this dependence, and this is still true even in May, even in Zame, this cam is the same, and here. We move from Born's words to modern scientific research that declares that determinism is non-causal and that determinism, if it were collapsed, is a place in causation that exists and is an attribute. Rather, it is the first axiom of your complete mechanics. Basically, it is one of the principles of your quantum mechanics. I mean, with the ink of glue, we can examine it well. So, if causality exists, then there is a law in modern physics or in quantum theories. So, what is the establishment of some ladder? The answer is the theories of quantum mechanics. You do not believe in chaos. You believe that there is a law, but this law says its results are inevitable and indeterministic. I don't know very well. Reply, bring the demand to Al-Azi, and do not let a quantitative mind say that causality in the field of science is always related to its principle of cause and effect, and its interpretation is often equated with a theory, so it is considered synonymous with determinism, and from this theoretical point of view, it can be surprising that we consider the excuse of an innocent or the first postulate of your theory. He says, you may be surprised if we say that the first postulate in my chimera theory is like what? Is it causal? You say, out of nowhere, that they believe in the principle of uncertainty, and in the principle of uncertainty, he says, a mixture between causality and determinism. He says, any universe can be surprising to you, that causality is the axiom, and the first axiom is, the spectacle is penned, which is famous as the theory of the uncertainty principle, the principle of what? Ariba. Since then, however, I am the causal factor in the process of ending the connections to another. We missed it and then came the amazing experiences. Adhan in the quantum zia the causality did not fall as much as on the noise. But I dropped what? Determinism clear. Now, if you, Your Honor, say that causality is determinism, then you say that whoever abolishes determinism will only abolish it? Causality is not linked to determinism being more important than time. This is a boring question for those who believe in God. They say that causality is one thing and that determinism is what? Another thing is to cling to causality to prove the existence of God. Are you being honest? Give us an example of atheists who say this priest, this is his mission, what? An atheist, so we ask him what you say about the law of causality. Have we been aware of spatial reasoning, and have we dropped the law of causality or not? This is what they said. Whether he dropped determinism or not. Because there is no certainty from him, you want to see that his pocket from it is step, that he be Damulan. This is a believer in God. If he is a believer in the limit, Mulan is a composer. He has a counterpart in physics, O modern one, and does he not have a counterpart yet? He is a chair, give him supplies in Britain. And the Dauphin is also in such and such graves. Look how strong he is. She referred to the phrases as many of them as she had read. She thought about where she was. A plan of completely different concepts has been presented to us. The plan of this plan is what it is, what is its consistency, in which the position of a thing and the path of something is its position, the place, its path is a paradise, the speed, the spring, its position is like two bodies, its path is like a paradise, as a direction in which the position of a thing and its path are not precisely defined. So what's wrong with my nose? He denies the cause without my nose being a jinn. Determinism, accuracy, uncertainty, and quantum theories of forces such as gravity may be regular within this framework, meaning the framework of uncertainty and indeterminism. Can theories based on such a framework so alien to everyday experience? If we look at it within everyday experience, we find it very strange. To explain the events of Hazmerd, he overlooked the deer, says one of the beliefs, Page Othmani, one of the main beliefs in my place, all of you, is the principle of suspicion, or the principle of the madness of God, which Henzambard formulates in 1966. So what began as suspicion tells us that he is there, he expresses a delusion. So what began as suspicion tells us that there are limits to our leadership. It is not possible without I can. You, by God, accept that now our technology and our physical systems do not give us the opportunity to determine the place and determine the path and speed. This necessitates some 50 sins, so if you omit it, let that be yours, let me complete it for you, because it is in the result that after Mulan in this, it ends with this result, which is subject to its witness. It may seem that quantum physics has been undermined. I thought that nature is bound by laws that may have been conceived for a reason. If you consider Mecca of the camp, it is considered safe by causality, and if you drop causality, then we have the laws of Al-Azhar. This twin says, for nature is bound by laws. It may seem that in the guise of the perfect, the idea that nature is strengthened. I agree with you about the laws, but this is not the case, and this is not true. Considering what they are wrong with this is from the clone, so this is the Egyptian version, I revised it, I wrote it, this is what is in the Egyptian version, and with modifications to that, quantum physics leads us to accept a new form of determinism, inspired by me, which the philosopher says in Transmission. At some point, the laws of nature determine the different possibilities for each of the past and future times, instead of specifying a specific past and a specific future based on ignorance that protects only what it denies to its neighbor. The speaker of the powers, the speaker of the powers, the speaker of the abilities, the speaker of the united powers. First, I will leave you. First, we said that the law of causation is outside the natural sciences. If we were to come down and say that transcendence is dependent on the natural sciences, what is the answer for the natural sciences? The answer is in the fashion of theories in your place. How much has the law dropped causality or not? Ha! Third, Khaliludin, third, that these laws that we have reached so far in your quantum place, from what do you say they are the realistic physical laws, have you now reached them, and you what? What's wrong with him? Mujtahibun, not Mujtab, and proof of what I say is that our Lord has reached the level of absolute certainty in time and space. Agni, yet what is the far we seek what is an actual before to certainty but before to absoluteness in time and space. Or relativists said relativism came to us after that your complete place. I did not accept what it is, neither certainty nor its meaning nor deterministic relativity, and growth said its non-deterministic nature. Rajan is evidence that after 50 years Maulana we have a Darib, so return to a phrase. From it ha I return to a phrase, from it ha, so my chibi has not begun to tell us. There are responses to our ability that are linked to the level of our knowledge, not to reality, and the same mother has limits to the ability to measure specific data simultaneously, such as the position of the particle and the velocity of the particle. They didn't tell me this was my prayer or anything. On this basis, come with us. Except for this man who is also a prominent figure in physics. Come with us to page 28 of his book, and I conclude my talk on the law of causality. He says, but the question that I am most grateful for is Takush. If it is reasonable, are the existing laws, the physical laws, the mathematical laws, the chemical laws, and the astronomical laws? After that, you have the most important laws. They support me with mathematical laws, 2 dimensions in the field, 2 dimensions in chemistry, and then the other, are the laws that exist in the books. Does that mean we discover it according to our abilities? These are actually the laws of realistic physics. It's better to use a dialect than just what it means. Oh. Hey. There is a difference between me and God. What is the matter with God? Who did you appoint? Sir, why does he say that our testimonies regarding their case are received? Dear, I am not saying that the natural sciences have recipients, and what about the scientific palm? Humanitarian, and this is what confronts the people of the natural sciences. They say, we do not have what? The recipients of these are our testimonies. After I said that the rare among the physicists says that the minority and Shazin are the ones who claim that the laws in the books today are in the most remote form the idol of the cow, and we have achieved it with a malam like this. Ali says, say the rare, and in the expression of the Shaza you say what we have arrived at is what are the laws of the coup, for AFD says. There is no impossibility, so he respects his mind, and his knowledge. He says what? According to understanding and energy, these laws in all parts are the closest that we have come to true laws. Besides the true laws, we do not know them because they are reality, and the same thing is the closest thing. We believe that the closest thing you have reached to true laws. The laws of this that we have come to are the closest that we have ever reached to true laws, so only some physicists have ever known them. The few of them who understand and respect believe that as the world progresses, the laws in the books will converge into one absolute law. They say, we are not going to discover that absolute law. Do you covet all actual laws with meaning and approximations? Ha! So I ask that we ask them. I will keep you, of course. After that, there will be scientists. Are the laws real? This will be applied to mathematical laws in general. He says even in sports laws, we say 2 plus 2 is good. Ha! Do we say that Ajadi-Sib's statements are more likely? 4. And for this reason he gives her example, saying, these contentious entities and consensual relations began, and I add you to be an independent existence. The mathematician believes that an expression similar to the ransom of 3 1/5 of them is indistinguishable, and the number is a number. He says, these were, in reality, things to understand other things, but we looked at them in an independent manner, so we imagine them to be independent, so they are absolute paradise. You say about a woman, but if you doubt, we say, no, no. I am now responsible for what I reached her. This is what I am responsible for. I am responsible for everything else. My siege is not based on the laws of causality, even if we believe in the law of causality, even if we believe in the theory of your quantum mechanics, or why do you attribute my theory of your mechanical law to causality by projection? What? Inevitability, and secondly, is this omission based on my opinion? What? Our ability in cause will not change, but now it will not change, it will not harm us. It will not harm us. What we want is the law. What is the law of causality and the end to which we end? I knew what it is. So, in the fashion of quantum things, causality was not dropped, as is often the case with reasoning. Rather, determinism was dropped, and it can be said that determinism, etc., so you get here, dear ones. A summary from the above is that the law of causality or not, and we do not hear this as experimental, and if it is accepted that it is also experimental, then the theory of quantum mechanics has not fallen. Causality, but what was dropped? So, this is all the talk about the answer to the third question, can something exist from nothing? I mean, it is tied in the absolute, and the answer is no, and 1,000, no, and so you find that every suspended effort is devoted to a minute, and so you find all the efforts of the scientists, the waters of nature, in what came and what did not come, focused on the fact that this world turned around and found without 2 reasons or found what for 2 reasons because they took for granted that it is this world that needs what. They only began to discover the laws of this world. What is clear evidence? And come with us to design, designed to this man. Hoki Mulan, Hoki Mulan. He is there, he has an independent heart. He is Anwan Latif, Mulan Anwan, he is the rule of law, he is Atif. I liked the second section of his book, The Great Design, The Rule of Law. He says, there is no nature without principles. There is no law. Law means what does causation mean? Yes, this is causation that goes with determinism. That is why he raises the three original questions. The original questions he raises are the opening of these three original questions. This original question is exaggerated, and this is in fullness, and it fails. I am glad I found it. If I want, I will delve into the discussion of these dear ones. Fullness, power, it is the three. What is the source of the laws? The first question asked says this. Come on, Quan. Why that world? Do these have laws and not other laws? There is no law in the number of a sentence that is strange, a sentence that says that one of the most important laws of this world is that it is an adversary. We can, and I in Antenf, its mothers. Otherwise, it would have deafened us. We can understand it and we cannot, so we can make fun of it. Or we can't make fun of it. Prince. If we understand its laws, the fatwa is good. This is the first cough. The mortal cough. Are there exceptions to the law? And this is the problem with miracles. We say the miracle. They broke the laws. From here they fell. This is the calamity of this God. What is permissible is one of their problems with prophethood, which is that the prophet says something contrary to the law. He comes with a miracle that contradicts the laws, and this is some of the speaker's law, a violation of custom. He financed the laws, he broke a law on them, Mr. Al-Bada, by, what did you say? Is the law of the miracle a law, but laws that we do not know, what is clear? Until they get rid of it, is there only one set of possible laws? What is the law? He says that these important questions have been asked in different ways by scholars and philosophers, and traditional answers have been provided. The first cough means that the likes of Galilee and Descartes die. The meaning of these laws is made to me because the laws are as such. This research will be linked to the research of the goal. When we come to evidence launched by organized reality, they need, for this, to manage its operation and magnify its essence. Two wise and capable scholars of the first matter. We say that we accept the matter of the first in a literal sense. It is not possible for the first matter to be the cause of all of this. The fourth question for Shah Ali next week is whether they are all independent, all of them non-independent. Or in them there is independent and non-independent, and we must nullify that they are all independent and non-independent propositions, because the other side said, let it be all of Hajar, non-independent, so an independent existence is proven. So it is not proven if we assume that all existents are non-independent, all of them are non-independent, if we have an independent existence. And if you say it, you will find that you hold for us an independent existence, then. No, all of them are not independent, and this is what will come. Praise be to God, Lord of the world.